G'day guys, I'm Matt Brand and this is the 2020 Nissan X-Trail. Put simply, the 2020 Nissan X-Trail is not the greatest crossover on the market. And having been introduced originally in 2013, well, it's getting on. And it is soon to be replaced. In the US, they have received the new Nissan Rogue, aka the Nissan X-Trail, and well, we don't really know when it's going to come here in Australia. So why would you buy one? Well, it does have a big trick up its sleeve. And today, we're going to talk about that. Now, if you are new around here, I would love it if you could go down and hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. I release an awesome new car review every single week. And while you're down there, hit that like button. It really helps small content creators like me. I'd very much appreciate it. I've also left timestamps down in the description below, or if you're on YouTube, you can use the YouTube chapters if you want to skip ahead. But anyway, let's get straight into the review. Starting with the front, and for a car that came out in 2013, it actually looks really swish. I love the classic Nissan grille with a big trapezoidal chrome bar that wraps around an otherwise quite small grille. And within that grille is the Nissan badge, but it's actually the radar disguised as a Nissan badge. I love it. It's a real 3D effect for what is effectively a 2D panel. Connecting the headlights is black gloss black plastic, but it actually works really well, especially with this red paint too. And the headlights are actually pretty good too. I like the daytime running lights with their little tick, and the headlights themselves are bright LEDs for low beam and high beam, so I've got no complaints there. Down the bottom are the fog lights and more chrome on the front lip. And even though yes, there is quite a lot going on, I think the package itself is really nice. And it's a big reason why it's still selling pretty well despite its age. Moving on to the side now, and here is kind of where you can see its age. You see it is very SUV and not the sporty route that every other manufacturer has now gone down to in the 2020s. Of course, like the front, you do get lots of chrome, and I mean lots of it. There's big strip running around the entirety of the windows. The door handles, of course, they're chrome, and then down the bottom on the door sills, well, that's also chrome. Oh, and how could I forget the roof rails, because they're like an off chromey chrome. I actually don't mind it, but you know, it's older design language now. Because this is the TI spec, which is pretty high in the range, you do get the 19-inch alloy wheels, and somehow, I don't know how, but Nissan managed to make very good-looking wheels. It's dual tone, and it suits the character of the car. I like that. But otherwise, that's really it. It does look a little bit bloated from the side, I'm not gonna lie. I do like what competitors are doing with their sharp edges, creases, curves. This is just, I don't know, it's very SUV. But hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you might love it. Moving on to the rear though, and I actually really like it. The taillights look sleek and modern, yet simple. And they look great, especially at nighttime. Up top is the obligatory SUV roof spoiler. And instead of a 2020 light bar, you get a 2015-16 chrome bar that wraps just underneath that badge. And then apart from the even bigger chrome bar down the bottom, that's it. Overall, despite not being the best looking crossover out there, it's actually still a pretty good looking car. And while I personally prefer the looks of the RAV4, I can absolutely see why people do like the X-Trail. Actually, I'm curious to know what you guys think. What do you think looks better? Do you prefer the looks of this 2020 Nissan X-Trail, or do you prefer the looks of the 2020 Toyota RAV4? I've left a voting poll in the comment section below, so go down there and cast your votes now. Now I want to move on to the interior, and I want to start with the overall look, layout, and feel. Surprisingly, maybe even amazingly, the quality of the interior is insane. Being the TI spec, you do get soft touch materials absolutely everywhere. On the dash, on the door sills, on the armrests, which by the way have the most cushioning ever. The center armrest, everywhere is soft touch. You really have to go searching with a microscope to find hard touch materials dotted around. It's why? Excuse me here while I give it a bit of sauce. I like it. The CVT just ruins it. Just that noise. Okay, back to the review. In all seriousness, the quality of the materials as well are just absolutely fantastic. You have, I think, real leather up here on the dash. You have really nice padding where your legs are, again, real leather. The leather on the center armrest, it looks absolutely fantastic. And it's just such a nice place to be. I also really like the carbon fiber inserts on the doors. They look pretty cool too. But yeah, it just feels really lush within the interior. I was super surprised and still am. I'm very surprised. Moving on though to the ergonomics and practicality, well, both are really, really good. For ergonomics, it is so easy to get into the perfect, comfortable position. For the steering wheel, it is tilting and telescoping, super easy to get into the best position, and the seats are adjusting automatically. I haven't seen that in a few cars' time. Better yet, for the seats though, they have lumbar support. I would clap, but I'm driving, but pretend I'm clapping. Actually, Matt, in editing, insert clapping. That's right. Good job. Storage spaces as well are pretty good. It's not going to be the best in class, but it's certainly getting up there. The glove box is also a pretty big and usable size, and there is a nice big area for your phone too. You get 4 cup holders up front, you get 2 in the center, 2 in the doors, and the ones in the center are actually cooled. They have vents for the air conditioning, so it can be cooled or heated. That's pretty cool. And then in terms of I/O, you have another 12-volt socket up front, and you have a USB port and an aux jack in. So in total, 2 12-volt sockets, which is pretty good. Now the seats are absolutely fantastic. They are really, really comfortable. As I said, I'm super happy that they've got lumbar support, and it is so adjustable. It can really push into your back. Because this is the TI spec, you also get a very nice black leather interior, which just looks great. And the seats are heated, and in the Australian climate, I'd probably prefer cooled, but hey, you get something. So yeah, I like it. So how about the steering wheel? Well, that's also fantastic. It's really comfortable to hold in the hands. It's made of nice leather, and I do like the stitching that runs within it. It's also flat D-shaped, which is something out of a Nissan GTR. So that's a nice touch. On the left-hand side, you have your media controls, and you have your little digital display controls as well. And then on the right-hand side, you have your phone controls, and you have your cruise control. A quick mention to the safety as well. You do get adaptive cruise control, which is awesome, but you only get lane departure warning and not lane keep assist. So it'll warn you when you're leaving the lane, but it won't actively steer you within it. Something competitors like the RAV4, they get as standard. And otherwise, it scored a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, I believe, in 2017. So it's a safe car. Moving on to the instrument cluster. Well, on the left, you have a big, bright tachometer. On the right-hand side, you have a big, bright speedometer. In the center, you do have a surprisingly large digital panel where you can see a whole bunch of different information. It's pretty good. It's not the best out there, but yeah, I'll take it, it's decent. What isn't so decent is this 7-inch infotainment display, because honestly, it is the most outdated system on any brand new car. It's clearly straight out of the 2000s. It's pretty damn laggy. It is color accurate and the graphics are relatively sharp, but that's where the good things end. If you want to try and navigate around it, you have to use the hard buttons, and there are so many. Let's do a very quick count. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13. There are 13 buttons there. That is ridiculous. And they're not inherently intuitive to use either. It is a very clunky system. You do get navigation, although that in itself is pretty poor. You also get digital radio, which is great. But as you can imagine, you don't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is just ridiculous and is lagging behind all of its competitors. Maybe the one redeeming factor is that it's connected to an 8-speaker Bose sound system, which sounds honestly incredible. Not all Bose sound systems are built the same. This one's really good. How about the air conditioning controls? Well, they're great. They're easy to use, intuitive, dual zone climate control. I like. Quickly talking about rear seats. Well, I'm 5'11" and I have plenty of legroom back there and plenty of headroom. The seats also slide and recline, so it's so easy to get into a very comfortable position, especially over longer journeys. So backseat passengers will be really happy. Of course, you get the same leather as up front, and although you don't get any 12-volt sockets back there or USB ports, at least you get 2 air vents. So it's not great, but it's not horrible either. And then with rear boot space, you have 565 liters of boot space with the rear seats up. Put the rear seats down and you get 945 liters of boot space. Of course, what you want to know is, how does the Nissan X-Trail drive? Well, it's loud. Powering the Nissan X-Trail is a naturally aspirated 2.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, and it pumps out 126 kilowatt of power and 226 newton meters of torque. Now you can also get a turbo diesel, but I don't recommend it, because honestly, things become expensive. You can expect to pay $8,500 more for a same spec X-Trail, but with that diesel engine. That is a lot of money. And it won't make that much of a difference to the driving experience. Now, all of that power is sent to an intelligent four-wheel drive system, as Nissan calls it, whereby you can keep it in an automatic four-wheel drive mode and it will send power to the front or the back depending on grip, or you can run it in two-wheel drive on its own, or you can run it in permanent four-wheel drive where it will send 50% of power to the front and rear axles, although only ever use that when you're four-wheel driving. You can damage the system if you're running in it all the time. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's slow. The 0 to 100 or 0 to 62 miles an hour is, it's around about 10 seconds. But it feels slower than that. The issue is, being a naturally aspirated engine, you have to wring it to get all of the power out of it. Peak power comes at 6,000 RPM. That's pretty high. And that means either you have to be flooring it to ever get anywhere near it, or you just won't. And that's the reality, you probably just won't. And so it's always gonna be not in the power band, and it's gonna be quite slow. So yeah, unless you're willing to give it a bit of sauce, it's probably not going to move very quickly. And to be honest, the CVT is just poor. It really feels completely disengaged from the pedal. I put my foot down and it revs up, but I don't go anywhere. It also makes a horrendous amount of noise. It's just so much noise. And I know it's a cliche for car journalists to hate on CVTs, and actually I liked the implementation of the CVT in the Nissan Pathfinder, but it just sucks here. It's livable, but my partner, who knows nothing about cars, when she drove it, she said she hated it because she didn't like the way it felt when you put your foot on the pedal. And that means she has no CVT bias. It's just not a great driving car. I won't hate on it too much though, because handling, while very light, is actually precise and super easy to use, especially around town. It's that engine noise. And then when you're just cruising around town, the suspension is decently comfortable, even on these pretty large 19-inch wheels, and it's a very easy car to live with. It's just, don't expect too much in how it drives. It's clearly outdated in how it drives, and competition just does it better. In terms of fuel economy, it's a decent story. 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers I'm getting, although to be fair, I have been flooring it a bit, although to be fair, I have to because it doesn't have much power, but it's decent. And if you drive it less silly, expect around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. So I said at the beginning of this video, the X-Trail has a trick up its sleeve, and it does. It's actually very good value. The Nissan X-Trail starts at just 28,990 Australian dollars drive away. Excuse me here while I give it a bit more sauce. Okay. You're trying, good boy. This TI grade here with the 2.5 litre naturally aspirated engine, well, that's 44,290 Australian dollars drive away. And actually it is good value. For an all-wheel drive system, this is cheaper than pretty much all of its competitors. For example, a similarly spec'd RAV4 with an all-wheel drive system commands a over $7,000 premium. Even the Kia Sportage, notorious for its value proposition, that's $3,000 more expensive for a similarly spec'd car. And whenever the new X-Trail arrives, as of filming this, I have no idea when, well, these will be on a run-out sale, so you'll probably be able to get them even cheaper. And if you can live with the subpar driving performance and the frankly pretty awful infotainment system, then you're getting a very good value SUV. Because despite all my hatred towards the drivetrain and this infotainment system, I've actually really enjoyed my time driving it. It's super comfortable. And so I have no hesitations in recommending it, at a good price anyway. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, I would love it if you could go down there and hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. And while you're down there, please do hit that like button. It really helps small content creators like me. You should definitely click on that video up top, whatever it is, because YouTube thinks you'll like that. And as always, I'll see you next week.